Oh, John, don't you just love Francis?
Not now, Minnie. Can't you see I'm busy here?
Why must you always rain on my party? You never enjoy the things that I like.
It's just a damn bird. How can I appreciate something that contributes nothing? Maybe when it starts paying our bills, then maybe I'll enjoy it.
You don't enjoy anything in life, John.
Was I not enjoying this magazine before you rudely interrupted me to talk about your bird?
Its name is Francis, John.
Don't you raise your voice at me, won't believe this. Go clean this damn mess up. You seem to have caused me a bit of grief today, Francis. It's time to end that.
This feels good. Come inside, ladies.
Mr. Hale, you explained to Mr. Henderson what happened yesterday morning.
By the way, has anything been moved? Are things just as you left them yesterday?
It's just the same.
Somebody should have left here yesterday?
I had my hands full yesterday.
Well, Mr. Hale, tell just what happened when you came here yesterday.
Harry and I had started to town with a load of potatoes. We came along the road from my place. As I got there, I said, I'm going to go see if I can't get John Wright to go with me on a party line. I spoke to Wright about it once before, and he put me off, saying folks talk too much away, and all he asked was peace and quiet. I guess you know about how much he talked himself, but I thought maybe if I went to his house and talked to him about it, I could convince him.
Let's talk about that later, Mr. Hale. I don't want to talk about that. But tell now, just what happened when you got to the house.
I didn't hear or see anything. I knocked at the door, and it was still quiet inside. I knew they must be up. It was past 8 o'clock. So I knocked again, and thought I heard someone say, come on in. So I wasn't so sure, but I walked in. And there in that rocker sat Mrs. Wright.
What was she doing?
She was rocking back and forth.
And how did she look?
Well, she looked kind of queer.
How do you mean queer?
Well, why? I don't think she minded one way or another. She didn't pay attention. I said, how do, Mrs. Wright? And she went on pleading. Well, I was surprised on what she had told me. So she laughed when I asked her where was John.
I think I'd rather have you go into the upstairs where you can point it all out. Just go on now with the rest of the story.
As I was upstairs, I saw John lying down.
And what did Miss Wright do when she knew that you had gone for the coroner?
She moved a chair over there and just sat there with her hands held together.
I guess we'll go upstairs first, and then out to the barn and around there. You're convinced that there was nothing important here? Nothing that would point to any motive?
Nothing here but kitchen things.
Here's a nice mess.
Well, can you beat the woman held for murder and worrying about her preserves?
Well, women are used to worrying about trifles.
And yet, for all their worries, what would we do without the ladies? Dirty towels, not much of a housekeeper, would you say, ladies?
There's great work to be done at the farm.
To be sure, and yet I know there are some Dixon County farmhouses which do not have such roller towels.
Towels get dirty quickly. Man's hands aren't as clean as before.
Ah, loyal to your sex, I see. But you and Miss Wright were neighbors. I suppose you were friends too.
I hadn't seen much of her. I hadn't seen much of this house since 20 years.
And why was that? You didn't like her?
I liked her all well enough. Farmers just have their hands full.
Yes.
It never seems a cheerful place.
No, it's not cheerful. I shouldn't say she had the homemaking instinct.
Well, I don't know as Wright had either.
You mean you didn't get along very well?
No, I don't mean anything. But I don't think a place be any cheerful for John Wright been in it.
I'd like to talk more of that a little later. I want to get the lay of things upstairs now.
I suppose anything Miss Peters does be alright. She was to take in some clothes for her, you know, and a few little things. We left in such a hurry yesterday.
Yes, but I would like to see what you take, Miss Peters, and keep an eye out for anything that might be of use of us.
Yes, Mrs. Henderson.
You think she did it?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I don't think she did.
Mr. Peters doesn't look bad for her. Mrs. Henderson is awful sarcastic in his speech, and he'll make fun of whatever she's saying.
Well, I guess John Wright didn't wake when they was slipping the rope under his neck.
No, it's strange. It must have been done awfully crafty and still. They say it was such a funny way to kill a man, breaking it all up like that.
That's just what Mr. Hale said. There was gun in the house. He says that's what he can't understand.
Mr. Henderson said coming out that was what was needed for a case or for a motive. Something to show anger or frustration.
Well, I don't see any signs of anger around here. Wonder how they are doing upstairs. I hope she had it a little more there. You know, it seemed kind of sneaky, locking her in town and then coming to her house to turn things against her.
But Mrs. Hale, the law is the law.
I suppose it is.
Look, she was piecing a quilt.
It's login pattern. It's pretty. I wonder if she was going to quilt or just knot it.
They wonder if they're gonna quilt it or not it.
Ha 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 ha. Frank Snyder didn't do much up there, did it? Well, let's go out to the barn and get that cleared up.
I don't see anything so strange. It's taking up our time with little things while we're waiting for them to get the evidence. I don't see it as it's anything to laugh about.
Of course they've got awful important things on their minds.
But look at this one. Everything else is so nice, and look at this one, it's all over the place. It looks like she didn't know what she was doing.
Oh, what are you doing, Mrs. Hale?
She was taking off one stitch or the other. You know, these also made me fidgety.
I don't think we ought to touch things.
I'll just finish it up this end. What do you suppose she was so nervous about?
I don't know. Why, here's a bird cage. Does she have a bird?
I don't know whether she did or not. I haven't seen her for so long. There was a man around last year selling canaries cheap, but I don't know if she took one. Maybe she did. She used to sing really pretty herself.
Seems funny to think of a bird here, but she must have had one, or why would she have a cage?
I
I wonder
suppose,
what happened to it.
I suppose maybe she had a cat.
No, she didn't have one. Why, look at this door. It's broke. One hinge is pulled apart.
Looks as if someone must have been rough with it.
Yes.
I wish if they're going to find any evidence, they'd be about it. I don't like this place.
But I'm awful glad you came with me. It would be lonesome of me sitting here alone.
It would, wouldn't it? But I tell you what I do wish. I wish I had come over sometimes. She was here. I wish I had.
But of course you were awful busy, Mrs. Hale. Your house and your children.
I could have come. I stayed away because it weren't cheerful. And that's why I out to have come. I've never liked this place. Maybe because it's down in a hollow and you don't see the road. I don't know what it is, but it's lonesome place and always has. I wish I had come over to see Minnie Foster sometimes. I can't see now.
Well, you mustn't reproach yourself, Mrs. Hale. Somehow we just don't see how it is until something comes up.
Did you know John Wright?
Not to know him. I've seen him in town. They say he was a good man.
Yes, good. He didn't drink and kept his word as well as most, I guess, and paid his debt. But he was a hard man, Mrs. Peters, just to pass the time of the day with him, like a raw wind that gets to the bone. I should think she wouldn't have wanted a bird. She, come to think of it, she was kind of like a bird herself. Really sweet and pretty, but kind of timid and fluted. How she did change. Tell you what, why don't you take a quilt in with you? I might take up her mind.
Why, I think that's a real nice idea, Mrs. Hale. There couldn't possibly be any objection to it, could there? Now, just what would I take? I wonder if her patches are in here, and her things.
Here's some green.
It's the bird.
Look at his neck.
Somebody wrung its neck.
Its neck choked the life out of him.
We don't know who killed him. We don't know.
How soon do you suppose they'll be through looking for evidence?
I know what stillness is. The law has got to punish crime. It's a good thing that men couldn't hear us. Wouldn't they just laugh, getting all stirred up over a little thing like a dead canary? As if that could have anything to do with wouldn't they laugh?
Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't.
No, Peters. It's all perfectly clear, except a reason for doing it. But you know juries when it comes to women. If there was some definite thing, something to show, something to make a story about, a thing that would connect up with the strange way of doing it.
Well, I got the team around.
I'm going to stay here a while by myself. You can send Frank out for me, can't you? I want to go over everything. I'm not satisfied that we can't do better.
Do you want me to see what Mrs. Peters is going to take in?
Oh, I guess they're not very dangerous things the ladies have picked up. No, Miss Peters doesn't need supervising for that matter. A sheriff's wife is married to the law. Ever think of it that way, Miss Peters?
Not just that way.
Married to the law. I just wanted you to come in here for a minute, George. You ought to take a look at these windows.
The windows.
We'll be right out, Mr. Hale.
Well, Henry, at least we found out that she was not going to quilt it. She was going to, what is it you call it, ladies?
We call it knot it, Mrs. Henderson.